In the bustling studio of The View, the audience erupted in applause as the legendary Clint Eastwood made his way to the stage, his signature squint and steady gait reminding everyone why he had been an icon for decades, a man who embodied rugged individualism and unyielding principles in an era that often seemed to prize conformity over courage. Joy Behar, ever the sharp-tongued host, welcomed him with a smile that hid the pointed questions she had prepared, knowing that Eastwood's views on politics, society, and the modern world were bound to spark controversy. As the segment began, light banter about his latest film projects quickly gave way to deeper probes into his outspoken opinions on the state of America today. Eastwood leaned back in his chair, calm as ever, and began to share his thoughts on how the country had changed since his younger days, emphasizing the importance of personal responsibility and hard work without excuses. He spoke of growing up during tough times, where people faced hardships head-on without demanding constant validation or safe spaces, drawing from his own experiences in Hollywood and beyond. Joy interjected, challenging him on whether his views dismissed the struggles of marginalized groups fighting for rights and recognition in a more aware society. Eastwood didn't flinch. He explained that true strength comes from resilience, not from labeling every disagreement as offense, and that political correctness had gone too far in stifling honest dialogue. The tension built as Joy pressed harder, accusing him of representing an outdated generation that couldn't adapt to progress. Clint responded with measured words, saying that progress shouldn't mean weakening the fabric of society by prioritizing feelings over facts. He recounted stories from his career, directing films that tackled complex issues, always aiming for authenticity rather than appeasement. The audience was divided, some nodding in agreement, others shifting uncomfortably as the exchange heated up. Eastwood's voice remained steady, gravelly, delivering lines that echoed his famous movie characters but rooted in real conviction. He argued that today's youth were being sold a bill of goods, told that success comes without effort and that government should solve every problem. Joy countered passionately, defending the need for empathy in a divided nation. Yet Clint held his ground, insisting that empathy doesn't mean abandoning common sense or rewarding victimhood. As the commercial break approached, the air was thick with unspoken challenges, setting the stage for what would become a memorable confrontation that highlighted the generational and ideological divides in contemporary culture. The debate intensified as Joy Behar steered the conversation toward Eastwood's past controversial statements, quoting him on topics like government overreach and cultural shifts, asking if he regretted any of his blunt remarks in light of cancel culture's rise. Clint Eastwood, unfazed, replied that regret was for those who lacked conviction, and he stood by his words because they were born from observation and experience, not malice. He elaborated on how Hollywood itself had transformed, once a place of bold storytelling now often constrained by fear of backlash, mirroring broader societal trends. Joy pushed back, suggesting his perspective ignored systemic inequalities that required vocal advocacy to overcome. Eastwood acknowledged injustices but argued that real change comes through action and opportunity, not endless complaints or virtue signaling. He drew parallels to his iconic roles, like Dirty Harry, where justice was pursued decisively without apology, reflecting his belief in individual accountability over collective blame. The co-host chimed in occasionally, but the spotlight remained on the clash between Joy's progressive stance and Clint's traditionalist grit. He spoke of the American dream, how immigrants and hard-working folks built the nation through perseverance, not protests alone. Joy challenged this narrative, bringing up current events involving social justice movements. Clint listened intently, then responded that movements lose credibility when they devolve into chaos or demands for special treatment. His words were deliberate, each one carrying the weight of a man who had seen decades of change, from World War II's aftermath to the digital age. He warned that softening society by shielding people from discomfort would ultimately weaken it, making future generations ill-equipped for real challenges. Joy accused him of insensitivity, but Eastwood countered that true sensitivity lies in telling hard truths to help people grow stronger. The audience reactions grew louder, applause mixing with gasps as the exchange exposed raw nerves. Clint shared anecdotes from directing classics, emphasizing themes of redemption and toughness earned through trials. He critiqued modern education and media for promoting fragility over fortitude. Joy defended the evolution toward inclusivity, but Clint maintained that inclusion shouldn't come at the cost of merit or free speech. As the segment progressed, the verbal sparring revealed Eastwood's unwavering philosophy: life isn't fair, but complaining doesn't make it better, action does. The tension peaked when Joy implied his views were relics of privilege. Clint calmly dismantled the notion, pointing to his humble beginnings and self-made success as proof otherwise. This back and forth captivated viewers, turning a routine interview into a cultural flashpoint. As the confrontation escalated, Joy Behar directly confronted Clint Eastwood on his perceived criticism of younger generations, labeling them as too sensitive or entitled in past interviews. Eastwood affirmed his stance, explaining that in his day, people built character through adversity, not by retreating to echo chambers or demanding trigger warnings. He argued that overprotection stifles growth, turning potential leaders into perpetual victims. Joy fired back, highlighting mental health awareness as a positive advancement, not weakness. Clint respected mental health but distinguished between genuine issues and manufactured outrage used to silence dissent. He spoke passionately about free speech, a cornerstone of America now under threat from both sides of the political spectrum. The studio audience murmured as Eastwood invoked historical figures who endured far worse without crumbling. Joy accused him of romanticizing the past, ignoring its flaws like discrimination. Eastwood conceded imperfections but insisted progress shouldn't erase lessons of resilience. He referenced his films exploring moral ambiguity, showing life's grays rather than black and white victimhood. The debate delved into politics, with Joy probing his conservative leanings. Clint clarified he valued liberty above party lines, criticizing big government intrusion regardless of who holds power. He lamented the loss of bipartisanship, where compromise was strength, not surrender. Joy pressed on celebrity influence, asking if stars like him bore responsibility for divisive rhetoric. Eastwood replied that responsibility means authenticity, not pandering for approval. His gravelly voice cut through the noise, delivering wisdom honed over 90-plus years. He warned of a society addicted to offense, where words wound more than actions. Joy defended advocacy as necessary disruption. Clint countered that disruption without solutions breeds anarchy. The exchange grew personal when Joy suggested his macho image perpetuated harmful stereotypes. Eastwood laughed it off, noting strong women in his life and films as counter-evidence. He emphasized respect earned mutually, not demanded unilaterally. Viewers at home tweeted furiously as the live tension built. Clint shared stories of wartime generation sacrifices, urging gratitude over grievance. Joy highlighted ongoing fights for equality. Eastwood agreed on equality but stressed equal opportunity over outcomes. The verbal duel showcased intellectual rigor from an unexpected source, Eastwood's quiet intensity overpowering Joy's rapid-fire style. As producers signaled time constraints, the segment teetered on explosion, with Clint standing firm on principles that defined his legacy. The breaking point arrived when Joy Behar escalated by framing Clint Eastwood's views as dismissive of progressive causes, implying they harmed vulnerable communities. Eastwood, eyes narrowing, responded that dismissing concerns as mere whining ignores root problems but also that constant crisis mode paralyzes progress. He advocated practical solutions over performative activism. Joy challenged him to empathize with those offended by traditional norms. Clint said empathy flows both ways, and one-sided tolerance breeds resentment. He critiqued media amplification of division for ratings, including shows like The View. The audience gasped at the directness. Joy defended the platform as fostering dialogue. Eastwood agreed dialogue was key but noted it requires listening, not just lecturing. He delved into personal philosophy, shaped by a life of risks in acting and directing against odds. Success, he said, demands thick skin and rejections build resolve. Joy argued privilege eased his path. Clint recounted early struggles, broke and unknown, proving grit trumps excuses. The clash symbolized broader cultural wars, old-school toughness versus new-age sensitivity. Eastwood warned that coddling creates dependence, weakening national character. Joy countered with examples of empowerment through vulnerability, Clint respected vulnerability but distinguished it from weaponized fragility. He praised past civil rights heroes for courageous action amid real danger, not social media storms. The intensity rose as commercial cues were ignored momentarily. Producers whispered urgently. Eastwood, sensing the shift, doubled down on honesty as the ultimate respect. Joy, frustrated, accused him of arrogance. Clint replied humility comes from knowing life's brevity tomorrow promised to no one. He urged living boldly, not fearfully. The audience split in reactions, some cheering his candor. Joy tried redirecting to lighter topics, but Eastwood steered back, saying superficiality avoids truth. He critiqued celebrity hypocrisy, preaching while living lavishly. Joy took offense, defending colleagues. Clint clarified no personal attack, just observation. The air crackled as Eastwood embodied his on-screen persona as an unyielding, principled. He spoke of aging gracefully, accepting mortality without rage. Joy probed regrets. Clint said few, as lessons from mistakes forge wisdom. The segment careened toward chaos, with Eastwood's calm demeanor contrasting Joy's agitation. As security hovered discreetly, the interview teetered on derailment, capturing raw generational friction. In the heat of the moment, Clint Eastwood rose from his seat, his decision to walk off crystallizing the standoff after Joy Behar's persistent challenges crossed into what he saw as badgering. He stated plainly that he came for discussion, not interrogation, and if honesty wasn't welcome, he'd excuse himself. The studio fell silent as the legend nodded politely to other hosts and strode off set mid-segment, a dramatic exit echoing his no-nonsense characters. Producers panicked, cutting hastily to commercial as social media ignited with clips spreading virally. Reactions poured in, supporters hailing his stand against perceived bias, critics decrying rudeness. Eastwood, outside, remained composed, later explaining he valued time too much for unproductive arguments. The incident dissected America's polarization, one side seeing heroism and defiance, the other entitlement. Joy, on air post-break, expressed disappointment but stood by questions. Co-hosts navigated awkwardly, praising both for passion. Backlash and praise flooded networks, with memes of Eastwood's squint captioned defiantly. He, unfazed, continued his day, embodying the resilience he preached. Days later, reflections emerged on respect and discourse. How heated exchanges reveal deeper divides. Eastwood's walk-off became legend, reinforcing his image as an unbowed icon. Commentators debated if shows ambush conservative guests. Joy defended journalistic duty. Clint, in rare follow-up, said no hard feelings but reiterated boundaries. The event boosted ratings paradoxically, proving controversy sells. Fans revisited his films, appreciating thematic consistency with real-life stance. Critics accused grandstanding. Eastwood dismissed noise, focusing on work. The viral moment encapsulated cultural shift, where offense taken trumps debate sustained. He advocated returning to thicker skin era. Joy highlighted evolving norms, neither backed down, mirroring impasse. Ultimately, the clash humanized both a flawed, conviction-driven, Eastwood's departure not rage but principled withdrawal. Social platforms buzzed weeks later. It sparked conversations on aging legends' relevance. Clint proved vitality through action. The View adapted, but scar remained. Incident underscored free expression's cost in polarized times. Eastwood emerged stronger, authenticity intact.